The oldest trick in the book to succeeding as a salesperson is to create the problem and sell you the solution. We've seen this throughout history, time and time again. Now, why do I bring this up? Digital ID. I'm sure you're all aware of it. Keir Starmer and the Labour Party's plan to roll out a digital ID. It's made him even less popular than he was to begin with, and that's tricky to do, right? I know. Now, recent headlines would suggest that Labour have scrapped this idea altogether, and I'm here to tell you, I don't think they have. I do not think that's the case. I think they've put it on pause, they've put it on the back burner, and they just intend to roll it out using a different method, a sneaky, under-the-radar method. And I want to make you all aware of this so you can be prepared. You can see it coming and be ready to resist it when it does happen, because you do need to resist it. Let me just make it clear. Giving your digital ID to a government like this, with such authoritarian aspirations, is like leaving a child alone in a candy store to do whatever they want. You would just be opening the floodgates, allowing them so many different ways to use this against you. The most dangerous thing about this whole digital ID thing is the power it will give them to stifle free speech. Now, for example, within the same period of time, Russia arrested somewhere between 400 to 800 people for things they said online. The UK arrested over 12,000. Now, I don't know if you can remember, but growing up, that's the kind of thing the whole world, including the UK, would criticize Russia for. Why is it that this current government is now trying to emulate Putin's Russia as though they're jealous of his power? They're jealous of his ability to shut down free speech. They're trying to make it so that you feel afraid to freely speak your mind, whether that's about your political opinions or just your opinions in general. And that's not what it should feel like living within a free democracy. That's what it feels like living under an authoritarian government. One of the things that really bothered me about their initial attempt to roll out the digital ID is the reasoning they gave for why they wanted to do it. It just made no sense. Everybody saw through it, and Starmer himself didn't even feel the need to give a proper answer for his reasoning. It's as though he just assumed everyone underneath him is just too stupid, too unintelligent to see through the bullshit, and he didn't even come up with a good excuse for why he wanted to do it. Watch this clip here.
One of our viewers got in touch and wanted us to ask this question. Russ Brown wanted us to ask you if you really believe that those profiting from human trafficking will think, oh dear, I have to check your digital ID now. I can't carry on paying you £1.50 an hour to work in my sweatshop.
I am absolutely convinced that amongst the reasons that people travel through France, which is a safe country, to come to the United Kingdom, amongst the reasons is because it's easier to work in our illegal economy than it is in other countries.
Exactly. She hits the nail right on the head. Ask him the question everyone else is asking. What makes him think that something like a digital ID is going to prevent the people who would already hire someone illegally from just doing it anyway? We already all need a national insurance number to work legally in this country. These people certainly aren't asking illegals for anything like that before they hire them. This isn't going to change anything. They have no regard for the law and certainly no regard for your stupid digital ID. Now, he entirely avoids the question anyway and just responds with another bogus claim that he is positive the people who choose to come over here from France, which is a safe country, it is, by the way, it's already a good place to be, he believes they come over here because they know in their hearts it's easier to find work illegally. And maybe that's slightly true, but the real reason they all want to come over here from France is because they know in their hearts we're going to give them a hell of a lot more for free than France is going to give them. He doesn't mention that.
And we have to deal with it.
Bosses who are prepared to hire people illegally are not asking them for their national insurance card. So what's the evidence? What makes you think they're suddenly going to ask them for a digital ID?
We need to be really clear. You must have ID, mandatory digital ID, in order to work, because we have to stop illegal working.
And she doubles down, exactly like I just said. She puts it to him in a way that you really can't dance around. So what does he do? He just ignores the question altogether and says, we're going to make it really clear that you must have digital ID in this country. But yeah, we already know that. That's why you're sat down with this lady having the discussion in the first place. He's not acknowledging the fact. It's nothing to do with a digital ID or the hiring procedures of people who would take on illegals. It's entirely to do with him, his government, and the incentives they provide that encourage people to come over here illegally. And let me clarify, my issue right now is not with the immigration crisis. My issue right now is with him and his overbearing policy, right? It's wrapped up nicely to make it look like he's doing all of us a favor and he's going to give the UK what they've been asking for. But no, it's strictly to be used against you, to keep an eye on your speech, your movement throughout the internet, your movement throughout the country, your finance. They can use it against you in so many ways, and you just cannot allow it.
Here, the government has dropped plans to require people to sign up to its digital ID scheme in order to prove their right to work in the UK. Nearly 3 million people had signed a petition to Parliament opposing the proposal to make the IDs mandatory. The change of policy is the latest in a series of climb downs by the government.
So as she said, around 3 million people signed a petition against the rollout of digital ID. These petitions are held on a government website, and after the petition is done collecting signatures, the government has a chance to respond underneath. And they did respond when the petition finished, and what they said was, yeah, we're going to do it anyway. We don't care about the petition. We're still going to roll out digital ID. Now, I guess he's just feeling the pressure a bit too much because now they're walking it back. But they're still making it very clear in the background that they have aspirations to roll out a digital ID eventually.
Keir Starmer has made a humiliating backflip on his compulsory digital ID rollout.
We've got some other breaking news tonight, and this is from Westminster involving the UK government and their plans for digital ID cards. John Craig, our chief political correspondent, is with us. John, I remember not that long ago, sat on this very chair announcing that the government were going to bring in digital ID cards, mandatory for all workers. Has this now been ditched?
Looks like it. It was September. The Prime Minister made a big speech at a conference of progressives, and where he talked tough in that speech there. He said, you will not be able to work in the UK if you don't have a digital ID. It's as simple as that. The scheme would make it tougher to work illegally in this country, making our borders more secure. Now, he was selling it as a crackdown on illegal immigration. He said that a secure border and controlled migration are reasonable demands. And he said that it'll make it tougher to work illegally, make our borders more secure. And he talked about benefits and so on. But now, a U-turn, although the government says it's still committed to the concept of ID cards. Now,
they're still committed to the idea, and they're still very much in a war against free speech in the UK. Take, for example, Keir Starmer and his war against Elon and his platform X. Now, I don't know if you know about this, but he's currently doing everything in his power to get X shut down or have access blocked to people in the UK. And the reason he's giving is because attached to the platform X is the AI program Grok. And just like every other AI program, Grok can generate images within reason. But the issue they're giving is that Grok can generate photos of anyone you want in a bikini. Now, so can any other AI program. So can ChatGPT, so can Google Gemini. You can go on Google right now and just Google AI image generator and get access to something like that. They're not trying to shut that down. A grade school student could do something like that on Photoshop. They're not coming after that. The reason he's so hell-bent on coming after the platform X is because X is the only platform that allows absolute free speech. No limit, no moderation. You say whatever comes to your mind, whether it offends you or not, you get to say it on that platform, and Keir Starmer cannot have that. The whole Grok bikini issue is just the soft blanket they're wrapping this up in so they can sell it to you, the public, to make it seem like they're doing you the favor. This is for your safety. This is for your protection. So how could you disagree? It's the same tactic they're using over and over again. Take the digital ID thing we talked about earlier, or take this next video, for instance. This is how they're going to get you next.
an unholy alliance of the three senior politicians who want Keir Starmer's job, Kemi Badenoch, Andy Burnham and Wes Streeting, have teamed up to force the Prime Minister, it appears, into a U-turn. Yet another one, probably number 14 now. Now, they've been campaigning for this ban. Up to now, the Prime Minister has been fairly agnostic, saying he wants to wait for the more evidence from Australia, where it's already in force. But now it's being reported that Liz Kendall, the Technology Secretary, is going to launch a consultation. Two moves being planned. This is the first one, the consultation exercise. Now, it's going to look at, for example, how to enforce minimum age limits with using technology, how to whether access can be denied to children of a certain age, also removing certain content that's said to lead to addiction of one sort or another.
He says Starmer was initially apprehensive about rolling out a social media ban for children under the age of 16, I don't think he was apprehensive at all. He just didn't need it yet. Now that they're unable to roll out the whole digital ID thing, this is his next best move, and now he's going for it. And here's where they've got you. It's hard to disagree with the idea that kids under the age of 16 should not have access to things like social media. I think that's a good idea. You probably think that's a good idea too. We all unanimously agree kids under 16 probably shouldn't be on social media, etc. But here's the thing. If they roll something like this out, when a kid under the age of 16 tries to access something like social media, they are then going to be asked for their ID. That means you're then going to be asked for your ID. Every time you go to access something that you would normally access, you're going to have to provide your ID. We're all going to get so tired of that the government is just going to one day be like, hey guys, why don't we just go ahead with the digital ID thing? It'll save you all a bunch of time. You're not going to have to go through all that hassle every time you go online. Let's just do the digital ID. And enough people at that time might just be like, yeah, okay, fine, let's do it. And by the way, what have we come to? Why are we allowing the government to just baby everyone like this? There are other solutions to the problem. What happened to a bit of old school parenting? Do you guys remember that? Parenting? Like, when I was growing up, I wasn't allowed to have a mobile phone until I was 14. I cried, I complained, I waited till I was 14, I got a mobile phone. That's how it's done. Why are people looking at the government like, oh, I need you to step in and help me, I need to do some parenting here? I'm going to go on a little side tangent here, just as an example for you all of how overbearing I feel this government is, okay? When I listen to my music, I listen to my music loud. I always have done. Now, tell me why, the other day when I download the latest iOS update, every 5 minutes now when I'm listening to music, a little chime notification goes off interrupting my song to let me know, hey, your volume's a bit loud, you might want to turn that down, it's bad for you. It's my choice to do so. So when I go into my settings to disable this notification, why am I now greeted with a message saying, local mandates in your region prevent you from disabling this notification? Who decided that was going to be a thing, and when did we give them the power to do it? To me, it seems like they're just testing the waters. They're just taking little baby steps just to experiment with how far they can push us, how far they can really go before people start to cry out. Do any of you remember the film V for Vendetta? It's a very good film, and if you've never seen it before, I suggest you do go watch it as soon as possible, because you'll probably be shocked. Now, the whole point of the movie was to highlight the plight of living under an authoritarian government. It even takes place in Britain. But what shocked me when I watched it again recently was how just about every single theme from within that movie is true in today's modern Britain. It's almost as though the current government is using it as their playbook. They're taking everything that they've seen from V for Vendetta and pushing it onto you, the British people. And that's a problem. If you see the movie, you'll know why. Let me just highlight some of the parallels between that movie and the current reality today in Britain, okay? So in that movie, they're in the aftermath of a global pandemic. Sound familiar? The government in the movie uses the pandemic as their opportunity to swoop in and become more controlling, more authoritarian for the protection of their own people. It's for their safety, so the people play along with it. Now, there is one source of media, one news outlet in the movie that the government controls. They push the propaganda that they want, they push the bullshit agendas that they want, and the people have no choice but to tune in there. Does that sound familiar? BBC, anyone? Anybody in the film who gets wise to this and sees through it, tries to speak out against it, gets quickly thrown away in jail and silenced forever. There's the main character, V, who does everything he can to try to raise awareness of what's happening in the country, whether it's through publicity stunts or spreading messages. That's how he does it, and the government hates him for it. The government is doing everything in their power, focusing all their resources into silencing V. I'm sure you can all think of characters we know on social media right now who the government is behaving against in the exact same way. This main character, he wears a mask, right? That's kind of his symbol that represents him. Now, towards the end of the movie, once all the people in the country have gotten wise to it, they see what their government is doing to them, they all stand in solidarity with V. They all converge together by the millions in front of the House of Parliament wearing the same mask as him to show that they're standing in solidarity, to show their government, I'm with this guy, we want you to stop what you're doing. Now, similar scenes have happened in this country recently. The march on September 13th, I believe, through London. Everyone marched by the millions up to the House of Parliament with their British flags as their symbol of solidarity to show that they wanted things to stop. They wanted things to change. In the movie, there was a happy ending. I've yet to see the happy ending happen in this country, and I don't see any signs of it happening anytime soon. And that's the point of this video, basically. It's to keep you aware of the problem. Don't fall for the little tricks. When the government tries to push something like a digital ID on you, you need to resist it. When they try to make it seem like, oh, it's for the protection of our kids, you still need to resist it. That's the tactic they've used over and over again, and it's the tactic they're probably going to continue to use. So just remember to stay vigilant, stay aware of it, and see through it. You cannot allow something like a digital ID to be implemented. We have things like that have been implemented other places in the world globally, and it's never a good story in the end. Anyway, that's the end of my little rant for today. Thank you all to the people who tuned in, and thank you to the people who subscribed. Really appreciate that. Leave a like if you want to, and yeah, I'll see you all in the next one.